Welcome to Coffee Commerce. My name is Sean Ramit. I'm the grandson of a coffee farmer from Guyana, South America. On Coffee Commerce, we talk about not just the business of coffee, but the stories behind coffee and how it has influenced society, ideas, culture, and communication. We've been talking about coffee houses in Europe, and we've discussed Venice, Vienna, and France. But there's another place, and some say that where the first coffee house was set up. Depends on the story that you follow. But one of the first coffee houses to be set up in Europe was not in mainland Europe. It was in England, across the pond, as they say. In 1652, the first coffee house was established there by a gentleman by the name of Pasquier Roset. Who Pasquier Roset is a mystery, or it's shrouded in a couple of different stories. One calls him a Jewish immigrant from Lebanon. Others call him a Sicilian-born Greek. And there's a number of other different ways of variations of who Pasquier Roset was. Some call him a Muslim, some call him a Jewish believer. But regardless, Pasquier Roset to the Londoners was a foreigner. How he got there and what happened with the coffee story is another matter. Pasquier Roset was the personal valet for a British merchant named Daniel Edwards. Daniel Edwards had employed Pasquier Roset as his personal valet in Turkey. Daniel Edwards was a trader, a traveler, and a merchant between London and Turkey. In Turkey, Pasquier Roset would make him the Turkish coffee. When business called Daniel Edwards back to London, he brought back with him his possessions as well as Pasquier Roset, his personal valet. Back in London, Daniel Edwards would serve his guests coffee, and the aroma and the taste was unique and different for them. And it was based on this attraction to coffee that started Daniel Edwards' thinking. In fact, as time went, Pasquier Roset would serve Daniel Edwards' associates 3 times per day, coffee 3 times per day. And there became a love and attraction for it. Based on this, Daniel Edwards instructed Pasquier Roset to open up London's first coffee house. In fact, it was more of a coffee shack than it was a coffee house. In St. Michael's Churchyard in Cornhill, where there was a hub of marketplace activity, the first coffee shack was opened. Some have said it was called the Angel. It was in this place that coffee was introduced to the commoners and to the business people of that area. Coffee started to become served. There was one major downside to coffee to Londoners at that time. Although Daniel Edwards' guests had enjoyed it, it was an acquired taste. Some had described it as the syrup of soot with the essence of shoes. It was in this nature that coffee was seen. However, one of the things that coffee had going for it was, unlike the other drinks of that day, which had an alcohol base, coffee was a stimulating drink, and it sobered up the patrons instead of getting drinks from the tavern. Water of that day we talked about before was not very clean and not very healthy, so they had to boil the water. So in boiling the water, it was the same process used for coffee. Then drinking the coffee was seen as a better option than drinking boiled water or tavern ale. To combat the perception of coffee being the syrup of soot and the essence of old shoes, Pasquier Roset came out with the virtues of coffee, which was a statement indicating all the benefits. He boasted of all the benefits of coffee. Most of them were conjecture, but he talked about their healing power and the health agent that coffee had. By drinking coffee, it would even give you things such as giving you ideas and inspiration. So it was with that coffee became a drink that you would drink, not because you necessarily always enjoyed the taste, but some did acquire the taste nonetheless. But it was something that you drank because it was seen as being healthy for you. At that time, in 1652 to 1654, Pasquet Rosé sold up to 600 cups per day of coffee. It became very, very popular. It became more popular than the taverns of that day. So as people acquired the taste for coffee, they reduced their dependence on the taverns and on ales. And in doing so, it infuriated the tavern owners. In 1654, Pasquet Rosé moved out of the coffee shack to a coffee house. It was a vacant store in the churchyard. In 1658, the tavern owners decided to conspire against Pasquet Rosé. And in 1658, Pasquet Rosé mysteriously disappears. We're not sure what happened to Pasquet Rosé, but what happens next is another story for another cup of coffee. Thank you.